Money Vikings, welcome back. I have a special one for you, and I hope that you stick around because I don't know if the title is going to grab you, but I wanted to go over some of the pearls of wisdom that we receive and can learn from Charlie Munger. For those of you who don't know, Charlie Munger is Berkshire Hathaway's co-man. He's Warren Buffett's partner of many, many, many decades, very old. In fact, I think he's 99 years old. And I hope you stick with this because I'm going to go for a few minutes here and I want to go through some of Charlie Munger's best advice to us as humans and as investors. So please check this out. Charlie Munger, his awesome advice at 99. So as I've said, here's a picture of Charlie here at the current moment, and he's quite old, but he wasn't always old. You see some handsome young pictures of this guy. But, I just have to go through some of these quotes because I get a lot out of them personally as a human and as a person. And I just think they're worth sharing. And he's a little bit, so he's very forward. He's very honest. And I think younger people would definitely be sort of turned off by him. He's not a Bitcoin fan, for example. Very skeptical of the shiny new thing. But I think in this day and age, we could all use a little bit of that. There's something to be said about young, enthusiastic optimism for new technologies and new things. And Munger will be the first to admit it, just like Warren Buffett, that they're not perfect and they've made mistakes. They were late to the party with Amazon, for example, which was a wonderful investment, and they didn't quite get in on time. So they're not perfect people. None of us are, but I still think we can learn a lot from people this age. And the other special reason I wanted to bring this up is because one of the biggest inspirations for us at Money Vikings was our grandfather. And he just was a really good man. He was a good investor. And he was also just an all-around ethical and moral human being who really treated other people with fairness and kindness. But he was also tough, and he was also firm, and he stuck up for himself. He came out of the Depression, passed away in his 90s. So when I see people like Charlie Munger, to be honest, it kind of reminds me of people like my grandfather. So anyway, here's a couple things that I think are pearls of wisdom that we can all learn from. He says, spend each day trying to be a little wiser than you were when you woke up. Discharge your duties faithfully and well. Step by step, you get ahead, but not necessarily in fast spurts. But you build discipline by preparing for fast spurts. Slug it out 1 inch at a time, day by day. At the end of the day, if you live long enough, most people get what they deserve. So I think this is awesome. And one of the things I like about it is that it really dispels that concept of, I think people get into this illusion. I think it's either the media or technology or the fantasy of Hollywood. I don't know what it is. But in life, we tend to get sucked into this illusion that one day we wake up and we're not the we're the prince or the princess, and it happens with a wand and it's magical. That's great for fantasies. It's great for storytelling, but it's not reality. So I just would say that looking at quotes like this is very important. Spend each day trying to be a little wiser than you were when you woke up. I really take these things to heart. I think it's really important. Discharge your duties faithfully. Do what you're here to do. Be good to your family, try to take care of them, try to be a better person. Be faithful to your job, try to make a living, and be a prudent, thoughtful saver and investor. Okay. The next thing he says, the best thing a human can do is to help another human being know more. That is one of the guiding lights of why we started Money Vikings, our YouTube channel and our blog, truewealth.moneyvikings.com. It's this concept that, again, we started this because no one really, it's more and more these days, but 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, not a lot of people taught anyone about investing. And there was not a lot of talk about even money. It was almost a taboo subject. And I feel like in the modern world, we are less and less making it a taboo. We're able to talk about it as a facet of, as a tool and as a way of living a life of true wealth. It's not just about money. It's not just about a number in a bank account. It's about how you invest and utilize that to be your best self for other people, to add value to society. That's where the real wealth comes, right? But anyway, so that really resonates with me as well. The safest way to try to get what you want is to try to deserve what you want. So that's interesting. I still think in, the old-fashioned concept of putting yourself out there, being an honest worker, being an honest communicator still pays off in the long run. I really still believe that. You can call me naive, but I think there's some truth to that in this world. The best thing you can do is to keep learning, never stop asking questions. That's very important. Okay, so anyway, interesting things about Charlie. Let's see here. He's known for his multidisciplinary approach to problem solving, which draws on insights from a wide range of fields, including psychology, economics, and physics. That's pretty cool. He's an avid reader. You always find that millionaires read as much as they can. Munger is a strong advocate of ethical investing and has spoken out against the use of complex financial instruments and practices that he believes can harm society. He has also been a major supporter of education and has donated millions of dollars to universities and other institutions. So he gives back. I love the concept of ethical investing because if we don't have some ethics in the system will fall apart. People will not trust the system and they'll hide their money under the mattress. They won't be investing in companies if there's not a somewhat of a foundation of ethics. Yeah, humans are humans. There's going to be some shenanigans, but for the most part, we need to know that there's some level of confidence and we put our hard-earned money into some company or stock or bond or investment that it's not just going to get, stolen from us. So that's important. I like what he says here. This is one of his most famous quotes, and it's so true for all of you out there that are like newer investors or you're in your first 5 to 10 to 15 years of investing. He says, I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit. This probably needs to be updated for the modern era. I don't know if you can necessarily ease up on the gas anymore at 100,000. You got to keep going for a while. You might be able to ease up at $1 million now, to be honest. But I will say this. He's still onto something with the first 100,000. And I say it because getting that first 100,000 saved shows that you have what it takes to whatever you're doing. You can quote unquote cheat by automating your investments, so you cut yourself out of it, right? If you're automating investments and you're not tapping into it and you're not screwing the whole system up, but you're getting to that 100,000 of savings and investing, it shows that you have the psychological and the action-oriented discipline, and you're able to keep a job and all that kind of stuff to go even further, right? So I really still believe in what he's saying. It's like work as hard as you can in that early years. This is precisely something I did. I remember in the very beginning, I did everything I could to save what I could, right? And so, yeah, I had to say no to some things. I wasn't able to always buy what I wanted or splurge on every little thing. But in hindsight, it was fine. I did fine, and I still had a good time. You still can find a way to have a good time and enjoy life without spending a bunch of money. You can cut back and still enjoy life. It's not a hard thing to do when you get it down. So, probably needs to be updated for 2000. That was in 2002 when he said that. So that was over 21 years ago now. Time flies. It's probably got to be about 166,000 a day. So you might want to say the first 200,000, right? Okay. So that's it. Here's 5 habits that make a person rich, practiced by Charlie Munger. Number 1, saving money. One of the key habits of wealthy people is saving a significant portion of their income. Saving money allows you to accumulate wealth over time and helps to create a financial cushion. You've got to save so you have something to build upon and something to do something with, right? So that's the key. Investing. You'll never make enough by saving. We talk about that all the time. You got to figure out a way to learn how to invest. Assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, businesses, etc. Charlie Munger is famous for investing mainly in stocks, businesses, and real estate. Learning to live below your means. You've got to learn to live below what your income is. It's the only way to build wealth. So I don't know what else to say. It's not fancy or complicated. It's basic math. If you make 100,000 a year, you probably shouldn't be living like you're making 150,000 a year. You should be living like you make 90,000 or 80,000 a year. Okay? It's that simple. Continue learning. We covered that one. And setting goals. Successful people tend to be goal oriented. Now, goals have to be, it's good to set goals because it kind of gets the mind and the actions going towards a certain direction. But we know that we also need to be flexible because life has a way of throwing us curveballs and twists and turns. But there's still something beautiful and helpful, I think, about the tool of setting goals. So, hey, I'll leave it at that. I hope that helps. Those are some gems of wisdom. There's so much you can dive into with Charlie Munger. He's 99 years old. He's not going to be with us on this planet or in this form that he's in of this old man for much longer. So I'm gonna hang on every word for a while. I still think there's value in listening to people that have lived life. I know times change. I know that sometimes as we get older, we can get behind the curve. We're not as hip. We're not as in touch with things. But, there is something to be said about respecting and listening to people that are older. We don't have to follow all the advice, and we won't. We're going to make our own mistakes. But you know what? Sometimes if you're so lucky to have a grandparent who loves you or an older parent who loves you, sometimes just take some time to listen to them. And it doesn't mean you have to do everything they say, but listen and think about it. Make up your own mind, of course. But I think there's a lot to be said about that. I wish my grandfather was still here in the human form, so I could talk with him and ask him questions. I'd ask him more questions if I had more time. So with that, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it, and catch y'all next time.